All right, we're going to go ahead and call the February 3rd Public Safety Committee meeting to order. We're going to start with our monthly reports from directors, then we'll go to our discussion items, and at the end, we'll take the public testimony. So I saw several people are signed up, so just wanted to let you know that'll be at the end. We want to give the chance for staff to report first. So the first update that we have is from the Police Ombuds Office, and I believe Bart is here to do that.
Good morning. I don't often get invited to come here, so I had this idea. I'd throw up these stats, which we'll put up here, but we'll talk to you a little bit about monthly stats and when we do our annual report. But just to give you a vague idea, we had 3,091 community contacts in 2024, up from 1,820 the previous year. We attended 153 community meetings, which is almost double, or is double, from 2023. We received 14 letters of appreciation commendations last year. We had 98 total generated complaints between OPO and SPD. We referred 63 cases outside. And then just a variety of meetings. You can see that our meetings with SPD increased to 583 last year, up from 415. And then we also had a lot more critical incidents, 6 from 2. But I think probably most interesting from the work that we were doing in December had to do with our reports that we wrote. We wrote 3 closing reports. They should have all been delivered to you already. We did one on K24-007, F23-054, and F24-038. And specifically, probably the news that you may have heard is we've taken some issue with how some review boards were conducted, how some cases were evaluated, and we made a variety of recommendations in regards to that. So K24-007 had to do with canine search of an area. We knew the subject was in the area, and really it came down to the canine was used to find the person, but then it was also used to effect the arrest. So we did an analysis on if possible and when safe to do so, is it possible to avoid bites when we're directing our canines to do that direct apprehension. And then a separate supervisory analysis in regards to both the search and then the direct apprehension. And then finally, our last recommendation that we had on that one had to do with having an uninvolved supervisor actually conduct that initial use of force review, because we had the person that actually applied the canine application conducting the use of force review in that case. So we asked for a separate one. F23-054 had to do with a person that was riding a bike. The police were responding to a call in regards to a person who was on crutches getting beat up by a variety of people. They saw people riding a bike away. They ended up tackling that person, and he ended up being the victim of the actual original assault. So we made a recommendation in regards to their body-worn camera footage to turn on audio during buffer mode. That is a switch. It's just a software thing, but there was some miscommunication that we didn't hear, which could have been picked up had the audio been turned on during buffer mode. I know that's a bargaining issue, things like that, but we did make that recommendation. Charging of a crime, we made a recommendation to charge based on the actual actions that occurred and not just whether or not a victim wants to be a victim or not. If they were assaulted, they were assaulted, and we could take action based on the elements of the crime there. We made a recommendation to include the aggravation of previous injuries to reviewable force. And then also getting to the review boards, we made a recommendation in that case that clear guidance should be sent to the review board members for expectations with a greater emphasis placed on alternatives to the use of force and de-escalation techniques. F24038 was the last report we wrote in December. And that was on a stolen car where a juvenile jumped out of a car and took off after the vehicle was stopped. At the end, the use of force review had to deal with the officer actually did a closed fist strike to the face of that person. So in the analysis of that review board, we had some members of the review board make some problematic comments. Probably the most specific one is up to deadly force can be a de-escalation technique. We took great exception to that, and we applied some pressure. So a lot of recommendations in regards to how those review boards were conducted. In January, we wrote another report on, the number's not even on the front page, F24019, that had to do with a takedown, a simple takedown, but also we were concerned with how the review board was actually conducted. And that actually made some local news, some evening news. There was some articles being written about it. But I wanted to just tell you about oversight in general. We're taking some issues in regards to a couple of cases. We're using those as examples. And I'm doing some work with some other communities where folks are also trying hard, but they're not receiving any kind of response from their police departments or their city councils. So I just want to tell you some things that once we started to take issue with how some of these review boards were conducted, here's a list of some of the things that accomplished. And this was offline in between meetings and things that you don't find in these monthly reports. So SPD met with me at the police academy, the training director, the lead defensive tactics instructor, as well as the director of strategic initiatives to discuss review boards. The case was specifically reviewed by the executive staff with the chief. There was a reinforcement of Reasonable Care Act and options to walk away. There were adjustments made to the review board membership. Formal membership was given to a previous review board member, so added to the review board. Mentorship was given to a patrol team when comments were made about force, which were out of line with policy. There was a formal disavowalment of comments made regarding Washington State use of force standards. I went to Burien. I met with the use of force program lead, and he actually came and met with Chief Hall and some members of the staff last week. The chief met with me one-on-one to talk about potential strategies for the use of force review board and other review boards. There's been an effort to revamp pre-FTO training for both new hires and laterals. There's been a greater emphasis on separation of concepts between use of force and de-escalation. We're looking further into training standards for laterals with emphasis on Spokane policy. There's a reevaluation of the de-escalation policy. The chief is looking at updating the use of force policy. And the chief also provided pointed feedback to supervisors in training, emphasizing accountability and risk mitigation, among others. So oversight's working. The chief is paying attention. SPD is paying attention. We're going to identify things as they come up. We'll make recommendations and look for solutions to come out of the police department. So that's my report, subject to your questions.
Great. Any questions? Councilmember Dillon?
Yeah, thank you so much. What do you kind of factor in for that large increase, the 70% increase in kind of contacts and your community outreach?
That can be a variety of things, sir. We're out in the community more. We're doing a lot more community meetings. We're working on our marketing, and the more people are aware of our office, the more that they'll come in and use us. But I think also it's us being out where they are too.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much for that update and all the work that you all are doing. All right. Next, we'll have our monthly update from Chief Hall.
Good afternoon, council members. This will be quick. Just running through, there's not a whole lot different, or we didn't modify a whole lot this time around. We're going to do some things a little bit differently next month, but for this month, we kept it pretty much the same. So you can see calls for service year to date. We're up a little bit over last year, but we're still below the year before. Our response times continue to be good. I'm happy with these, particularly priority ones, under 5 minutes. Vehicle-related calls. You can see the abandoned vehicles, and we're trying to dive a little bit deeper into this. We don't understand why they're going down, but they are. However, our Hulk tows and our parking violations are going up. I would just point out those are pretty small numbers, so the percentages are going to look astronomical when in fact it's just the small numbers that make the percentages go up that far.
Chief Hall. Can I
Yes, sir.
ask a follow-up on that?
Yes, sir.
Does the abandoned vehicles include RVs?
I think those are the Hulk tows.
Is that under the Hulk tows? And have those changed at all? We changed the page. Okay, those are up. Okay, so the abandoned vehicles are just typical cars and trucks and things like that?
Yes. These calls for service for the behavioral health unit continue to climb upward, as well as mental health crisis calls. We're looking at how to more effectively engage our behavioral health unit to help out patrol on these calls and what we can do for longer-term strategies. Our death or DOA calls are relatively static. However, they're up over the 5-year average. Drug calls are going a little bit down. We'll see how that continues. Quality of life, I expressed last time we're a little concerned about the evictions, but it looks like we're sort of turning a corner there. Hopefully that continues. Pedestrian interference continues to rise. Trespassing, fairly static. Unlawful camping is going up, and these are calls for service. These are 911 calls for service. However, I want to point out that in the month of January, we had 85 arrests for unlawful camping citations. This is primarily, before you ask the question, due to viaducts. We're sending in our partners, our service providers, to do outreach. They are fairly unsuccessful with the group that inhabit the viaducts. And in fact, the service providers have taken up the habit of calling us and saying, we're not getting treatment engagement here. And so then our officers will go in and issue the unlawful camping citations. Pedestrian interference, 117 citations. So you can see there is enforcement. It's just not always the enforcement that people visualize as going to jail, being booked in jail, and staying in jail. This is within the parameters of the statutes that we work with. This is something a little new. We voluntarily joined a group that is gathering data from cities, both small, mid-size, and large. Some of it's open source data. We decided to provide our internal data to this group. Over 200 cities. It's the Real-Time Crime Index. It's a real-time look at crime across the country using all of these different cities' data aggregated. It kind of gives us a snapshot of what's going on nationally with this group. Crimes against persons offenses were down just a little for the month. Pretty static on our aggravated and our simple assaults. Domestic violences are down just a bit. If you remember, we just go through and look at the top offenses for what domestic violence calls look like. Simple assault, violation of no contact or protection orders, and then vandalism, destruction of property are the top calls. You've all seen this. Confirmed shootings with victim injury. So this is year to date. We've had 6 this year, 7 the previous year, and 6 in 2023, so pretty static. These are shootings without victim injury. We're looking into 2024. That's an anomaly. I believe as we dig into it, we're going to find some misclassifications. arrests continue to climb, and that's primarily due to the citations that you saw in the previous slides and the activity that's taken in the downtown core area. These are arrests by type. You've seen this before. Quite frankly, I had to ask about why so many crime check calls end up in arrest. And apparently the officers can see the calls on their screen and will oftentimes self-initiate to take those calls before a crime check can get to them. And that's why that blue bar is so high. Staffing, so our total budget is staffing is 355. We're at 328. That's 22 vacancies we continue to work on. And I just want to end by letting you know formally that I finally have my leadership team in place, and I have 3 assistant chiefs now instead of 2 majors and an assistant chief. Captain Steve Wool, formerly of the Downtown Division, is now an assistant chief. Major Dave Singley is now an assistant chief. And Captain Matt Cowles of the Southside Division or Precinct is now an assistant chief. And we are in the process of backfilling those positions at the captain level and the lieutenant level. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just two questions. One, can you maybe just describe from your perspective the difference in benefits of moving to more assistant chiefs rather than the majors? And then does that also kind of down the whole line there allow for some of the folks that have been kind of waiting for those detective positions to move into those? And I mean, is it going to affect everybody in that way?
It won't affect the detectives, although we're working on something differently with that classification. And what I always sort of caution folks when they're always asking me for bodies is every promotion, every transfer, it always comes out of patrol. Everything eventually comes out of patrol. It's just the domino effect. But what it will allow is those folks at the sergeant level, at the lieutenant level, for there to be some movement, and those folks who are rising to the top to take on a leadership position at the next level, which I'm excited to see that occur and provide the coaching and mentorship with my leadership team. I think I've said to this group before is that I started succession planning the day I walked in the door, and will continue that.
So it's really about leadership building. That's a big benefit of it.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Navarrete.
The behavioral health unit, is there a specific time that they work until, or are they 24 hours?
It's a small unit, and they work primarily daytime hours, so 8 to 6 at night. And that's primarily because they work so closely with the service providers, Pioneer, Frontier, all the different behavioral health service providers, who do not work past those hours.
So if there's any unfortunate events happening after that, then the person will just be sent to jail? If
Not
they're getting a
necessarily. I
mental
mean,
crisis?
all the patrol officers have advanced training in the CIT, and the events that occurred last week were unfortunate, and we are looking into that. But the behavioral health unit was just not available.
Councilmember Bingleton, Cathcart.
I guess I'll ask about that being unfortunate. Unfortunate how?
Just unfortunate that it occurred.
Okay. So not necessarily with officer conduct or anything like that, just the incident itself is unfortunate.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, with behavioral health, my understanding is that, not entirely sure the reasons, but the county has pulled out of that partnership, and that's why we don't have those after-hours behavioral health specialists. Is that accurate?
Moving forward, we're each going to have our own team. We've sort of separated, but they work the same exact hours that we do. And in fact, it was an integrated combined team, and which we're now sort of disaggregating.
Okay, and so they'll just focus on the unincorporated valley, those places, and we'll focus on the city? Is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's just a component of growing jurisdictions.
All right, thank you for that update. We appreciate it. Oh, Councilmember Navarrete had one more.
I just want to bring this up publicly. I sent you an email about this, and we can totally get together after. But I received reports this weekend on accidents, local accidents that have been happening where SPD shows up, ambulance shows up, but then there are also ICE agents showing up at those accidents. So I know through our Keep Washington working law, I don't know how they're getting there or if they get called, but I do have footage of that happening, and I just want to let you know that I don't know how they know these agents that there are accidents or if they get called on. So I wanted you to be aware of that.
Thanks. I can assure you, we are not calling them. And on the traffic collisions, if you can give me more. I haven't seen the email. I'm sorry. When did you send it?
I sent it earlier, but we can get together and I can show you all that footage.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll have Chief Oberg come down for the update from the fire department. And just so everyone knows, there's a couple on here that were inadvertently left off but are tied to other topics. So we'll have Howard give an update about the automated traffic safety program after Maggie goes. So it's tied to the same topic. And then code enforcement will go after downtown Spokane partnerships on clean and safe efforts across the city. All right, Chief Oberg.
Good afternoon. This month's report is going to be a little bit condensed, similar to what Chief Hall mentioned. We're working on trying to make this more useful data for you, telling a story versus just giving you some one-dimensional. So a lot of our report is under construction, if you will, right now. Staffing, and actually I think our relief pool number, I don't think that is accurate. I think we're down to 14 with some recent retirements. We are still on task for a recruit academy starting March 3rd. Right now, we've made conditional offers to 18. Those have not processed all the way through physicals, so I can't guarantee that we're going to start on March 3rd with 18. But hopefully we'll be close there. Also just managing expectations. We typically have about a 15% failure rate in the academy. So that, 16 to 22 weeks later, that's what we would end up with. We also have some known retirements coming up by the end of the year. So we continue to try to dial in what our relief pool looks like. We know that that's the solution. Getting there is proving to have more challenges than I anticipated. Overtime, obviously, we're very early in, but right now we're 12% lower in dollars than we were this time last year. But again, the number that I like to point out is hours. We are 24% lower in our overtime hours than we were at the same time last year. Wanted to point this out, extra hours versus overtime hours. So the contractual change in January of 24 with the FLSA changes resulted in some hours being paid out on what we call extra hours, which is straight time versus overtime hours. That is proving to be a savings. So we basically already this year have a 17% savings in what's paid out in extra hours versus overtime hours prior to the FLSA change that was a contractual change in January of 24. Yes, sir.
With regards to the reduction in overtime hours, are there any specific internal policy changes or just a reduction in calls that you could point to as a reason, or are we just doing a better job managing overall?
I think we're doing a better job. I think we there's some things in my mind aren't sustainable. We've really reined in some of our specialty teams meetings, some of our committee meetings that are just done with our operational members that are typically done on overtime because they all work different shifts. So throughout 24, we really tightened that down. I mean, it worked, but it has consequences as well, right? When we don't have those committees and those meetings on a regular basis. We did have a bigger relief pool, even though we ended the year smaller. 24, we had a bigger relief pool than we did in 23. So what we're seeing right now is the results. And again, I think it was the right decision for our 2024 budget, but we're also seeing the results of not doing that 2024 academy. So, and it'll take us a bit to climb out of that.
Thank you.
Response metrics, and this is still a work in progress. We're wanting to give you guys something that kind of shows, so this is not the final of what this will look like, but just comparing last year, January to this year, January, all calls were down, not necessarily statistically significant other than structure fires, but all calls were down to some extent. So we broke that down. Obviously, if it's not the EMS or overdose, all those others, we call them fire calls, but that that's not necessarily working fires. Everything that we run, other than an EMS call, we kind of put in that fire bucket. So that could be car extrications, that could be automatic alarms, that could be service calls. Jackson, you might need to help me out. I'm frozen up here. Oh, that's because I'm hitting the wrong button. This is a map from our Dark Horse platform. Right now, GIS is out on some well-deserved maternity leave, so we're relying on our Dark Horse mapping. But we're also working with GIS to get a little bit better mapping story that tells. This story does not change. We know we know where our problems are. What I've asked my data team to do is to allow us to really zero in. We know that the downtown corridor is where we run a lot of our overdose problems, but I want to be able to get down into really eighth mile grids and even specific addresses to where we go time and again. So we'll continue to work on that. Yes, sir.
And is there a way to break that down to show us sort of the percentage that occurs on the street versus in a residence versus in a commercial space?
A qualified yes to that. When we write our reports, we do have to write down where we found that person, but a lot of times it depends. Let me dig more into that, because it is a yes, but I'm not sure it's going to be as easy as a yes as I want to be able to get you.
Okay, we can follow up. I appreciate it.
Mike, write that note down too. Here specifically is our overdose data. Again, not statistically significant, but some decrease from the same time last year. Other than, if you notice the Narcan use, and again, that's doses. So our doses delivered, that doesn't necessarily equate to patients, but our doses delivered almost doubled. And really the important one that we haven't really reported on earlier is how many, before we even get there, walk away, whether that was a citizen administered Narcan, a friend administered Narcan, police, somebody else from the downtown. If they walk away, we are tracking that, but I'm not completely convinced that we really do know that number. The other caveat to this number is, and I think I've mentioned this before in this setting, that the way we get calls that would be fentanyl or opioid overdoses has a wide variety. So they don't all come in as this is an overdose. It may be what we find there, but it originally came in as a cardiac arrest, the cause being fentanyl. So that number, for the way our records and the way our reports are written, can be a little bit misleading. This is truly just showing overdose calls, but we potentially had more issues than that were opioid caused. And that's it for the condensed report this month. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you very much. We will go on to, I don't think that there was an update from Jackie. I think that was included in the packet, I believe. So we'll go on to our discussion item number 1, which is this from Sarah McNew on the Spokane Regional Opioid Task Force.
They had to cancel at the last minute.
Oh, okay, last minute cancellation, so we'll save us some time. Next, we'll go on an update from Maggie Yates about the Spokane Regional Emergency Communications decision.
Good morning, afternoon, I guess. Good afternoon. It's been a Monday. Thanks for having me here to update you on SHREC. I'll just give a quick overview and sort of refresher of where we're at and some of the more recent updates since I last presented. So back in April, SHREC presented or sent a letter to Mayor Brown saying she had a month to either put police into the Regional Emergency Communication Center or take fire out. She negotiated a 3-month period rather than a 1 month, and we contracted with ADCOM to help us evaluate the feasibility of both alternatives. And they helped us identify concerns around the governance structure, the user fee model, and then service level agreements as well. That report and the presentation of those concerns to the SHREC board really kicked off a lengthy transition process or negotiation process. Councilmember Dillon, who was formerly the chair of this committee, sat in with the transition committee, as well as our fire and police chiefs, the mayor, Matt Boston as the CFO, and myself. We were able to sort of talk through governance, well, we talked through each of the concerns, but unfortunately, we were not able to make any headway on our concerns around governance. There was no appetite to sort of talk about what an alternative model could look like. We presented one idea as a starting point just to try and get the conversation going, which kept the city of Spokane in the minority, but created some oversight for elected officials on the finances, and that didn't get us anywhere. We also talked through concerns around the financial model and service level agreements. But when we realized that we weren't really making any progress, the city offered or suggested that we bring in a third-party facilitator, mutually agreed upon by both SHREC and the city, to help us work through the concerns. And that recommendation was flatly rejected by the SHREC board. So unfortunately, we sort of continued to slowly move through the concerns. The transition committee notified us in January that we needed to, or perhaps at the end of December, that by January 10th, we needed to decide whether police was going in or fire was coming out. They presented us with some draft user fees. However, those user fees were based on several assumptions that would have had to be approved by the SHREC board, and also were only set for 1 year and didn't provide us with any sort of certainty or reliability for our biennial budgeting process. So we, the transition committee for the city, wrote back saying, let's extend the current arrangement with fire as a fully participating agency and police operating as a secondary PSAP in order to give us some more time to work through these concerns and come to a resolution without sort of these artificial deadlines that we're creating, just creating difficulty sort of getting through and getting some momentum through the conversation. Unfortunately, on January 16th, the SHREC board voted to separate the city of Spokane, which essentially is a recommendation to kick fire out of the Regional Emergency Communication Center. This still has to go to the Board of County Commissioners for a vote, so we'll be seeing what action comes from them. Also, sort of in the midst of this, House Bill 1258 was introduced in the State House, which would require the apportionment of one of two dedicated revenue streams to emergency communications. First is the sales tax, and then the 911 excise tax is what 1258 focuses on. The emergency communication sales tax was previously already apportionments required through a previous state bill. And then this 911 excise tax would do, or excuse me, the 1258, House Bill 1258 would do the same for the excise tax. So we really see this as just a matter of public safety and fairness. It would allow for a city-run PSAP on the east side of the state to receive an apportionment of those funds to make sure that we are able to safely dispatch our first responders to emergency situations and respond effectively and swiftly. And we had members of the administration as well as Councilmember Dillon who testified on behalf of the bill last week, I believe. So that's sort of where we are with SHREC. The administration is working diligently to pull together the requirements that we'll need to run an effective and safe PSAP for the city based on the recommendation from the SHREC board. And we're confident that based on our experience and the expertise at the city, we'll be able to do that. And just appreciate everyone's involvement, both from council and the administration, moving us forward.
Any questions for Maggie? Councilman Bingle.
So I guess for us, have we made a determination that the relationship with SHREC is over? Is that where we're at?
That was really the SHREC board's determination, or their recommendation was to separate the city of Spokane. We made multiple sort of proposals and what we thought were really reasonable and thoughtful recommendations to try and get us moving in a coordinated direction forward. But again, those were rejected by the board. And as a result, we have to, as a city, prepare for sort of what looks to be the likely outcome that we will need to be able to operate our own PSAP. The deadline the SHREC board imposed was January 2026.
So, yeah, the SHREC board made the decision. Are we reapproaching the board at all, or again, have we just determined, okay, we're on our own, we're going to do our own thing?
Yeah, I think what the mayor stated last week is that it really will require renewed and meaningful county engagement to figure out whether there is a path forward, but there needs to be some sort of flexibility and movement around the city's concerns.
Do we have any idea upfront what it's going to cost us to be, our own primary, and the dispatch numbers, what that's going to look like?
We've started to pull all of that together. We've got sort of our calls for service, and we'll be putting together the cost analysis as well, and can update council in the near future.
Councilmember Cathcart?
Yeah, I guess two questions. One, would you say, just in your view, participating in these meetings, that Shrek, I guess, attempted at least to act in good faith, responding to proposals, providing their own in response? And if you could just maybe provide some clarity on that process. And then also, how much of the conversation from the city side was focused not just on governance or the financials, which very important financials, but on the standards, meeting call times and improving crime check and making 911, improving 911 and those sorts of things? Because to me, that is of the utmost importance in this whole discussion.
We would agree. Public safety is the primary sort of consideration in all of this, and everyone at the table is there with public safety first and foremost as the main sort of topic of conversation for both sides. Unfortunately, there just wasn't sort of a path forward based on what we were sharing and what the Shrek board responded to in their transition committee. They were willing to put the police chief back onto the board, or the Shrek board, which was the original structure, and then they removed the police chief when SPD didn't become a fully participating agency. But there wasn't a conversation or a willingness to sort of think creatively about how can we also allow for elected officials to ensure that taxpayer dollars are stewarded responsibly. And then we did spend a significant amount of time, and Chief Hall exchanged drafts with Shrek leadership on the service level agreement and what it would require for police to feel comfortable moving into that. And we did get some traction there. And again, we had to make sure that we were able to afford it and that we could budget for it appropriately.
I had a quick question to follow up on the costs. So from our current understanding of the total cost, it would be from the consultant study, and then we're updating that to what it would actually be in implementation. Is that the next steps right now?
Yeah, we'll refine those cost assessments.
Okay. And then just for the public, I've heard people saying, like, what happens if the city's not ready at the end of the year and we're kicked out? Like, does 911 get turned off for the city residents? Do we know what would happen if we're not ready?
I think we'll have a better understanding of what the timeline actually looks like, and we'll remain in conversation with the Shrek board in the county on that. Chair Rohrbach has expressed his sincere sort of commitment to making sure they're supportive with the city's process of establishing their own PSAP. So we don't anticipate that would be a reality.
Councilman Bringle?
Yeah, I just think that's an important thing to reiterate, that, the citizens of Spokane, we're going to make sure that they have the highest level of service, that they deserve. Whether we're with Shrek or not, we have a responsibility, and we're taking that seriously, and I appreciate that. Do we have a timeline on when we'll get to know more about the, you might have said it and I might have forgot, but the costs associated with both dispatch?
I would anticipate in the next 2 months or so, and we'll keep council appraised of our progress and make sure that you are informed as we go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And you're right up next for the update about the automated traffic safety cameras, too.
Sure, this is a little bit more straightforward and shorter. As you know, the SPD's been working on implementing 2 additional traffic safety cameras, and it sounds like, although it's a lengthy process with the vendor, we should have those up and running in 4 months or less. They understand our urgency, and so SPD's been continuing to stay on top of this. Also, SPD estimates and Chief Hall estimates that with the sales tax revenue for the traffic unit from the community safety sales tax that was just passed at the end of 2024, they could install an additional 10 traffic safety cameras. The challenge, and I see Howard here so he can speak to this as well, the challenge is that creates additional workload for municipal court, whose capacity is strained already in terms of their workforce, so that if we do install additional cameras, which SPD can absorb, we would need to look at alternative funding sources to create 1 to 2 clerk positions in municipal court to be able to process those additional tickets.
Yeah, I guess, so we had this conversation in our traffic calming meeting last week, and I did not realize, or at least it wasn't brought up, that the plan was to take this out of the sales tax. I assumed it would come out of traffic calming, which has been sort of the plan all along. So I'm just curious, I mean, none of this was discussed during the sales tax campaign or any of that I saw. And in fact, in the budget, we had officers allocated for increasing that traffic unit from traffic calming, and that got cut. I just trying to understand kind of how you guys are kind of going about that, and why would traffic calming not be the source for cameras?
I think that would be ideal if the council's amenable to that. I think, and Chief Hall can speak more to his vision for this, that the cameras would supplement or support the traffic enforcement unit.
And my question is, are we still exploring conversations with the Guild about having a non-commissioned officer or someone reviewing those tickets in addition to an officer, now that the state allows that? That may be a cheaper option and maybe a better use of our officers to be out dealing with things that someone else can't do.
Yeah, we haven't had recent conversations. Happy to reach out to the Guild and continue those discussions.
And then if Howard, if you want to come down and explain the impact on courts and the needs on courts for expanding the program, that would be great.
Good afternoon, Council. In anticipation of this meeting, I had 2024 data pulled on photo enforcement here to give us some sense of what the volume would be, increasing by 2 cameras and then by 10 cameras. So right now, Spokane has about 23, I believe, approaches that write tickets. As an average, and again, some are fairly low, some are quite high. It looks like about 1,678 tickets per approach per year, just as an average. Of those, 511 actually contested the ticket in person, and another 7,667 contested by mail. We also have mitigations, which is I did it, but I would like my fine reduced, that we also have to review. But the ones that take the time are the contested in person, obviously longer, and then by mail. We originally asked if we could absorb 2 more cameras in our existing workload. My answer to that was we can. However, we need static staffing levels. Unfortunately, the 2 cameras are on the way, but we didn't achieve static staffing levels. We lost one of our court clerk 2s, who are court clerks who go into courtroom and process stuff. So I'm always a little unnerved when I'm asked, what's it take to do X or Y? And then you take on X or Y, and what the premises were for doing that are not followed. So that's kind of a caveat for this discussion. So in terms of 10 more cameras, that's obviously a significant increase in the workload, and we're likely into another court commissioner at that point, assuming they continue to be both contested in person and by mail at the same rates they are now. Fortunately, several years ago, the resolution on traffic calming was amended by council, and so court staffing is an above-the-line issue. It can be included from the money in terms of paying for the program before it goes down into the traffic calming fund. So the revenue stream to fund the extra commissioner and potentially a court clerk 2, which is getting the one we lost back, would not be a complex or difficult thing, since it's already baked into the sequence. As we continue to get more and more and more cameras, assuming that's the goal, right now it's structured so Vera Mobility, who is this company who provides the cameras and the services, do a ton of the back end work. And that's from the hearing sets to processing the citations internally. Payments are made there, which tends to be a little irritating to the public because it's not here in Spokane. So we actually took a brief look at what it would take to do what many other jurisdictions do, including here in Washington, is to have Vera do the issuance and the court process it like all the other cases in the background. So depending on what these extra 10 cameras, what they predict, because they do principally an assessment of each location they're going to put them in, what it's predicted, we could certainly sit down with the SPD and members of council and talk about what it would mean if we modified how the city contracts with Vera Mobility now to take a lot of that back-end work into the city, which would reduce the amount, obviously, you're paying per approach to Vera Mobility and give more control and analysis in the city, because we would simply import that data into our existing case management system instead of using Vera Mobility's, which is extremely restrictive in terms of what you can do, because Washington handles its traffic tickets far differently than almost every other jurisdiction that Vera Mobility is in, and would allow much better analysis of the data from our perspective. So if there are any questions, happy to answer them.
Yeah, a couple. You mentioned by mail. So is there not a digital online option for folks to contest or mitigate?
So it's all done basically through the Vera Mobility portal.
Okay.
And they can select, I want to pay the ticket, I want to contest the ticket by mail, I want to contest it in person, I want to mitigate it by mail. Okay. During the pandemic, we passed a local rule in the court that basically made all mitigations, which is, again, I did it, but I want to explain it to see if I can get a reduction in fine. Those are all by mail now. We do not do those in person anymore.
And when you say mail, you mean snail mail, there's not a digital option to go online, submit your information, and request the mitigation?
Actually, the digital option, it's not snail mail. It all goes, you upload everything you want to do to contest it into the system, including the statement by mail, the statement to contest by mail, which are very particular Washington forms and have to say certain things. They come to us all electronically. Okay. It's technically mail, but it's not snail mail. It's electronic mail through the system.
Gotcha. And then when particularly mitigation, more so than a contesting, but for a mitigation comes through, how much time does an individual employee have to spend on that?
The commissioners, we have standard review dockets, and literally they're just piled up by case. So we go in, look at the video, read the statement, make a decision, issue an order.
So is there not sort of like a parking ticket, and frankly, speeding tickets in the past, at least from or what I recall, as long as you've not sort of done it in the last year, it's almost always approved. And I just wonder, is there a way to sort of say, well, if this and this, then this person gets the mitigation, and it can all be done through the computer without needing an employee to do that work?
I suppose with some sort of artificial intelligence program, you could have the computer make those decisions, but principally, as part of it, we have to look at the video, and that's a human intervention issue. And the commissioners literally sit there and plow through all the videos and make the decision. The maximum reduction is principally a third that we would give on a mitigation, although pending legislation in Washington could change various aspects of the red light citation and limit fine amounts and items like that. But that's all a wait and see until the legislature either passes the current bills or does not.
I guess I'm curious, and we don't have to go into this right now, we could talk offline, but just really curious, what is it that would have to be seen in the video for the mitigation to occur? Because clearly they violated it if it's a mitigation. And so what would be the difference in what's observed in the video?
First off is their history, but in terms of what's observed is I could say how ripe was the red light when they went through it.
Okay.
1 second, 10 seconds? Was there a near collision in the intersection when they did it? And by the grace of whatever deity, you missed the accident. So there's all sorts of facts about it,
Okay.
plus the record of the person that play into it.
Okay. And then, so my next question would be, what's the delta in cost, essentially, between a judge and a commissioner, court commissioner?
About step one commissioner versus a judge, about 20%.
So
Councilmember Cathcart, we need to make sure other people have a chance to.
Can I just one quick follow-up, and I'll be done. So I would just to put out there, I believe we need another judge anyway, and I would strongly encourage us to consider that route because, in my view, the accountability that comes with electing a judge is so much greater than a hired commissioner. And you can still have the commissioner work on these, but the judges can take more of the other load that I think needs to be dealt with. So just a suggestion to put out there.
That's absolutely true. The caveat is any more employees for us, and we've got to resolve the space issue. We have no more chambers for judge. We have 3 commissioners in one chamber. So if we're going to add employees, we got to resolve the space issue. But any other questions I can answer?
I have
Thank
one.
you very
So
much.
understanding the need to expand the cameras, it was a couple clerks and a commissioner, is that correct?
Yeah, at least one court clerk 2, one court clerk 1 who processes, the stuff, and then a commissioner or an elected judge if that was the way council and the administration chose to go.
My understanding is it takes a while for the cameras to get stood up. So is that something that we could start ramping up towards so that when they come online, we would be ready to process them? Is that kind of timeline-wise, if council directed so that we'd be willing to allocate the funding for it?
Based on the timelines Maggie was talking about regarding getting cameras online, if you decide to turn on 10 cameras, getting it created and appointing the judge or creating a commissioner through council basically would parallel that timeline. The question of then, doing the SBOs and all that stuff all runs through you, so.
And then my last question is, it sounds like administratively you are pursuing the option of doing a lot more work in-house than through the third-party vendor, which does take a lot of the revenue that we're not able to use on Safe Street projects here. It sounds like you're pursuing that?
Actually, we're just discussing it internally, because once you hit a certain threshold, and we've actually asked Vera in Washington, where we've posed a question, how many are paying for the back-end services to be done by Vera versus doing it internally?
I would definitely be supportive of exploring that option because a lot of the revenue is going to pay that for them.
And of course, that contract is technical between the SPD and Vera, so their photo enforcement people would definitely have to be involved in any analysis, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, then we're going to have a quick switch as we're doing clean and safe updates. If code enforcement can go first and then have DSP go after that. So Luis, if you can give us an update about that. And just for context, I think several council members have been hearing some concerns around the corridor around Brown and Division in particular, and knowing that we allocate more funding, but also there's the state funding that we've received, and then also the DSP. We're just trying to get a full understanding of all the efforts around making sure that Spokane's clean and safe.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think that that it's good to kind of link us together because it's kind of layering of efforts that we have going on right now. Really, none of them really specific to Brown, because I know that was the initial concern that you noted on that. So we do have, and DSP can go ahead and give their update as well. I won't kind of infringe on on what they're doing, but we do have multiple layers, like I said. So the Downtown Spokane Partnership had their additional area contracted with them. They gave you an update a couple weeks ago on their efforts that they're working on. We also, in the meantime, have Career Path Services that are working in a similar area but adjacent, closer to I-90, and also in the South UD district. What we're finding out really is, and of course my team, sorry. What we're finding out is that as we're doing work, we kind of push people into different locations. So the boundaries that were initially kind of memorialized in the contract are a challenge right now because the activity has been pushed elsewhere. So I've met with both DSP and Career Path Services to say, how can we maybe do an amendment to that to extend the boundaries on it, maybe a no-cost expansion there because it is being pushed in different locations. I do know that Downtown Spokane Partnership, speaking to the Brown Viaduct specifically, does work in that area. They kind of work one side of the area because it's on the boundary of their location. But then we also have Career Path Services who has been showing attention to the other side, the east side of that viaduct. And if you saw the KHQ story, that's what they were litter picking in that location. Obviously, there's still substantial concern about occupants in the viaduct and really trying to maintain the infrastructure to what its intended purpose is, which is pedestrian pathway. It's not intended to be, kind of a collecting location, a bottleneck for our pedestrian infrastructure. So that's always been the challenge, and we work with our police partners to see if we can alleviate some of those pressures. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Those contracts are in place and they're working. They're doing great work as far as the litter picks are concerned, the secondary impacts to what we're seeing downtown, and they continue to work and report in. So I think that it's been a positive in all of those, looking for other places where they can possibly make an impact. But I'll let DSP, if you want to share your a reiteration of your previous one.
And then we can do questions for both of them after, so we can get the full picture and know who to direct our questions to.
All right. Well, when you reached, first of all, hi, Emily, President at the Downtown Spokane Partnership. And when you reached out for an update, you know me well enough to know that I always accompany with slides. So we do have some slides that our team put together here. So as a reminder, I was here about 60 days ago to give a 60-day update on the supplemental cleaning effort. And let's see if I can, there we go. So as a reminder, what are these services? Because in the bid, we do provide a variety of services. The supplemental contract is very specific to cleaning services. So that's sweeping, removing garbage on sidewalks, viaducts and tree wells, power washing and sanitizing, graffiti removal and painting, cleaning and sanitizing of alleys, and every once in a while, if it ever snows, removal of snow in the crosswalks. It's important to remember that when we talk about what the supplemental cleaning area is, so the downtown bid, which is the part that is funded through assessments on property and business owners currently, is in the blue, and then the supplemental area that we're talking about, roughly 22 blocks, is in the yellow. You heard from Luis, there is another contract, so our area is west of Bernard. There is a contract with Career Path Services east of Bernard. It's important to also note when we talk about this contract, it is separate funds. So a lot of times we talk about the supplemental contract versus the bid. The bid funds, because they're collected in a specific geography, can only be spent in that specific geography. However, we can leverage the purchasing power we have with the bid, which is what we've done in the South Downtown area. We've also been able to continue to flex labor. So I'll talk about a little bit later that we work 5 days a week currently in the South Downtown area, but we have a hotspot team. Because our bid services work 7 days a week, we can respond when there are calls on days that are not dedicated. Excuse me. So again, as a reminder, when we launched the project 120 days ago, we did send out postcards. We walked by hand and mailed them to every property and business in that service area. We also created a dedicated website that includes an FAQ, who to call, and some common questions. The contract, while it is stated that 311 is the direct dispatch line, because we have a dispatch through the bid, we do take those calls and dispatch regularly. All right, so this is a short-term contract. We're about 2/3 of the way through. Knowing that this is a short-term contract, we had to bring in supplemental labor. We have been fortunate to partner with Reclaim Project Recovery. They are a great group of folks. They are a program for individuals transitioning away from addiction, homelessness, and incarceration. We have partnered with them for a variety of cleanup efforts throughout the year. We actually even have created a ladder of employment. So our South Downtown supervisor is a full-time employee of the Downtown Partnership partnership, but came to us originally through our Reclaim contract. There's Sam, and has been an outstanding employee with us. So let's get to the numbers. Last time I reported on the 60 days, we're now at 120 days. We have collected more than 3,000 bags of garbage since September. That's an average of 26 bags of garbage alone. And again, these numbers are specific to just those 22 blocks in South Downtown. We've picked up nearly 2,700 cardboard boxes, removed 360 graffiti tags, painted 15 viaduct walls, swept 18 alleys, and weeded more than 60 tree wells in that time frame. Last December, I mentioned that due to the delay in snow, we've been able to extend our painting schedule, which we continue to do, although now that temperatures have dropped, our painting schedule isn't quite as robust as it once was. But you can see here, the team has been very busy at work. This is some of the viaduct areas, which we're very proud to say that we have finally been able to find a uniform color for those viaducts. So hopefully as you're going through, you're not seeing the urban camouflage that we once referenced, but now a consistent color throughout the viaducts. We are amazed by the amount of dumping we continue to find in downtown, whether it be furniture, abandoned items on our curbs, our sidewalks, under viaducts, and at times blocking business entrances. Dumping is extremely costly, not just because of the physical need, and as you see in some of these photos here, it's a tremendous amount of cleanup required, especially those larger items. But going to the dump takes time, it's expensive, and it adds cost as we think about how we stretch our contract dollars. Just some more photos here to show you what that dumping before and after looks like with the teams. All right, so graffiti, that's the other big part of this, graffiti abatement I mentioned. We have a team who considers themselves graffiti busters. They're out there trying desperately to keep those, remove graffiti within 24 to 48 hours. Often they're successful. The idea being that if we can remove that graffiti, it oftentimes does not return. However, we do still see chronic offenders. The team takes a photo every single time we have a tag. The idea is to log it and help identify chronic taggers and offenders. And again, lots of before and after photos you can see here. It is a daily battle. Sometimes they will remove it before the end of their shift. They are back to remove the same graffiti again. Especially our public utilities, so light poles, utility boxes, stop signs, you name it. Everywhere that we're finding this graffiti, the team is actively looking to remove it. By the way, I should mention the cost of graffiti removal has doubled in the last 6 months, so that's always something important to think about. You'd be shocked at how expensive it is for these chemicals now. We were very robust in our photos. All right, so as I mentioned, not only is it graffiti, but in high impact areas, we are constantly going around and cleaning up. So we clean up in the morning, we have to go back 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day to the very same area. The team is constantly removing garbage, and this also requires a higher frequency in deployment, which means that as we think about our staffing model, we have been unable to reduce. I mentioned last time we had gone from 7 days a week to 5 days a week, and we were looking at how could we continue to extend our staffing, but we just have not been able to reduce from that level. Fortunately, as the team has been working, we have also started to see some places where finally we're seeing improvement. As an example, around the area around 2nd and Madison, we were constantly picking up drug paraphernalia, property that was abandoned, food waste, garbage. It was a daily struggle. But since the city gate closed at the end of December, it has completely transformed the area almost overnight, as you see in these photos. Our team now goes back to our regular cleaning schedule once a day and able to maintain that area. As I mentioned, there are many areas, though, unfortunately, that still is not the case, and the team is going out several times a day. You heard a little bit about the viaducts, but we also extend our services in other areas. For example, while 3rd Avenue is that southern boundary, we have extended on some of those major thoroughfares so that as you enter or exit downtown, think about Monroe and I-90, Maple and I-90. Those are some of those key entrances and exit points where the team is extending a little bit beyond that geographic boundary. some more photos. So I want to talk a little bit just about the fact that we are supporting quota enforcement. We also work closely with the other contractor, Career Path Services, and constantly looking at how we mitigate all of these efforts. But as we think about how we mitigate, one of the biggest things that we're finding, and it's on your agenda tonight, so I want to bring it up, is consistently cleaning up beverage containers. So the alcohol impact area, the community health impact area, those ordinances which were supported by the DSP and working with the administration, these are some of the reasons why we need that. Our team is constantly picking up these items that would be prohibited under those ordinances, and it's not just alcoholic containers. We are consistently finding a lot of drug paraphernalia. Our teams now have found more needles than what we found in past months. We're seeing that continue to increase. Oftentimes that drug paraphernalia and alcoholic containers are found side by side. I do want to give you some quick statistics as they are kind of telling. In the month of December, knowing that the AIA would be in front of you, we did a census to understand how frequently are we cleaning up these items. We recorded 56 times when we collected these alcoholic containers. Nearly 20% were collected in the viaducts alone. And many times, as I mentioned, it's not just alcohol, it's that drug paraphernalia. While we strongly believe the best option is to outright ban these items, we understand the limitations you have, which is why the community health impact ordinance is important. But we do hope that you will further look at a stay out of drug area or other types of ordinances to address the chronic repeat offenders that we see in the area. Let's see here. So this is a view of South Downtown. Our team, like I said, is consistently working on cleaning up the area. It's an all-hands-on-deck effort. It's 5 days a week. We're about 2/3 of the way through the contract, and we're trying to make an impact, but we also recognize that the frustration is at a level we have not seen before. This is a slow time of year for businesses. It's where we feel the impacts greater than maybe some of the times when there's lots of activities like the holidays and others. We need resources, whether it be the core program, code enforcement, hot teams, all of these outreach teams, street medicine, everything working together. You've heard a lot about the treatment-resistant population that we are seeing and experiencing. I was talking to our team this morning about, frankly, just the disregard. They talked about they were walking by and a couple of folks who just threw garbage at them, like, here, clean it up, right? I mean, those are things that can be very disheartening when you're in the district, but they also take a lot of pride in what they do. Their jobs are not easy. They have many of our team members are in recovery themselves, and when you think about some of the work that they're doing, it puts them in a very tough situation. We've responded to overdoses ourselves. We have had needle pricks. We've had lots of other things that can make your workday dangerous and not as exciting, but we do this because it is making an impact in downtown, and we hope that we can continue to do so because we know we need champions.
Thank you for that update. Okay, now questions.
Yeah, I've got one for each of you, but for Emily to start. So slightly different, topic, but downtown. So a number of restaurateurs have been really fed up and are now working with the sheriff's office to deploy cows downtown to monitor the criminal activity that's occurring. I'm hoping that process will then allow us to also capture a number of the people who are committing the vandalism and whatnot. That's become a big issue. We passed an ordinance to increase, fines for dumping and all this kind of stuff. So, it has to be a top priority. Just in your view, do you believe that improving that situation with regards to our partnership with the Real-Time Crime Center would be beneficial for downtown businesses for preventing or at least being able to provide some accountability on these issues that are occurring?
Yeah, I think that downtown, we need everything, right? We need resources. I know we recently had a group that was able to tour the Real-Time Crime Center. I know SPD is participating in the Real-Time Crime Center. We've been educating businesses on how they can participate and support and how to call, who to call, when to call. We have a safety collaborative that meets on a monthly basis between private and public safety partners and how we are collaborating. This really does come down to it's going to require public and private sector participation. It's going to require resources and intentionality.
Yeah. Well, we have Flock on our agenda here today, which is a part of that, but, I think we need to be a little more robust in our partnership with the sheriff's office on that and utilizing that technology to help
Well,
us.
and I think it's important to recognize the flock cameras are a critical part of that network. I know, even the private businesses have the ability to plug into the real-time crime center through
Yes.
some of that flock network. And so it's all the tools need to be in the toolbox.
Very good. And if I can ask for Luis? So Luis, you are in receipt of an email I sent about 10 days ago regarding some substantial concerns I have regarding RV enforcement, and sent it to you and Maggie, and looking for feedback on that, obviously. But specifically for this, I would just, to keep it short, can you just tell me where we're at with finalizing the contract for RV removal? I know it was on our consent, and then it was pulled 3 or 4 weeks ago now. In the news, it was reported that we don't have funding, which I fought pretty damn hard to allocate the $350,000, so it is there. And so I just would like to understand why we've not executed that contract, why we're telling the public we don't have funding, and what that plan is to start removing these massive neighborhood public safety issues.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Maggie already left. So you're correct. The funding was allocated during the budget process, but the contractor to actually perform the detail is still working through the contract process. So there was a review with the contractor to ensure that what we're actually paying for is what we're getting, and so that. Speaking with purchasing, I would say that we're looking at about March timeframe to actually get the contract in front of you, to negotiate it and get the contract in front of you. So yeah, that's basically where that contract is right now, and I can follow up with you offline specifically on what the holdup is or what the concerns are with it.
Well, I would just like to understand, I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. We had an arrangement, a program, it worked. Obviously, the state was contributing, but that's, to me, we can still negotiate with the state and still continue the program that we had in place. So it just feels like a completely unnecessary delay that's really just creating more hazards in some neighborhoods.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I'd like to actually introduce Andy for Career Path Services. If you wanted to.
Yeah, please
say
give us an
real quick.
update.
Yeah, so yeah, he was the second contractor that I spoke of besides DSP, and they're doing great work. If you wanted to tell him a little bit more about kind of your employees.
Cool. First of all, thank you for welcoming me here to support the cause. So I represent Career Path Services. We're a nonprofit organization that was founded here in Spokane County 53 years ago. We've been working in workforce development and human service provision. So the largest portion of our work here in Spokane has been at WorkSource and with the Next Generation Zone, providing help for individuals who are hoping to get into career pathways that are, promising for them personally. But in the last year, we started an initiative called Dignified Workday, which is a program that is really aiming to get at the heart of the challenge of the litter and refuse issues in downtown, and at the same time, providing pathways back into employment for folks who are struggling with homelessness. So starting in January of last year, we started with 8 workers who became W-2 employees of our organization. And we began, working to clean up, doing some graffiti abatement. And over the year, our workforce has grown to about 50 now, by the time a year later. And recently, we signed a contract with the City of Spokane to do the Clean and Safe program, which is allowing us to send 4 or 5 people in a team out every week, 5 days a week, for 5 to 6 hours to do litter abatement. Particularly in the last 2 weeks, we've been in the Brown Street Viaduct 3 times a week cleaning that up, and I think that there's been some meaningful improvement in that area. And the other part of our coverage area is really between 2nd Avenue and the I-90, and then the Division Street corridor.
I just had a clarifying question. So we received right-of-way funding from the state for Division Corridor, right? Is that the funding that's being contracted with Andy?
No, that's actually ARPA funds that are funding that contract right now. So they are the one-time funds that are paying for that.
Okay, then what, I'm misunderstanding that there was state funding also for right-of-way cleanup?
So there's kind of different aspects of it. So the one that I manage, because I think there's also stuff that that Parks is also trying to get stood up on there that's using those funds. But as far as WashDOT property, we contracted with WashDOT for encampment removal, and that's something that we're working with WashDOT on WashDOT property specific. So right now, my litter crew will go dedicated 2 times a week underneath I-90 and do those type of abatements that are impacted by the homelessness, people experiencing homelessness out there.
Great, thank you. Yep. Lots of different layers to the puzzle
Lots
here.
of layers.
All right, anybody else? All right, thank you for that update, everyone. Appreciate it. All right, next we're going to have the flock purchase update with Shauna Ernst.
Hey, good afternoon. So as you know, we got WATPA funding, which is the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority funding. So they gave us $100,000 towards flock. That funds 28 fixed cameras. That doesn't necessarily mean intersections, because if you have 2 cameras at one intersection, that dings 2 of your cameras. And then 2 that are still pole-based cameras, but things that we can move around. So we're bringing forward this proposal for 34 intersections, and that's more intersections than we have funding for, but it'll start the process of working with Flock to identify which locations are feasible. Sometimes they run into issues with the franchise agreements and all these things that may make an intersection fall off the list. So that's why we're bringing more intersections than we actually have funding for. So we'd like to move forward with approving those intersections, go ahead and make the purchase. And at the same time, SPD, we are updating our internal policy for ALPR to mimic what Everett PD is doing, to make sure that we have a modern policy, because we really haven't had ALPR for a while. So we're updating that and making sure that we're protecting privacy through this process, because there are obvious privacy concerns whenever you add more surveillance. The flock cameras keep the license plate reads for 30 days. That's it. If we do use a search for solving a crime or something that's going to go through court, we'll manually save that search result so that we have that for that process. But other than that, we won't be saving any of the returns. There is an option that we can look at that might be good for traffic calming dollars, where for $500 additional per camera per year, you can get a traffic count. That's aggregated data, so there's no privacy implications, but you could use that for all of these different intersections. We picked the intersections based on traffic and congestion points throughout the city. So we targeted bridges and ingress and egress into the city first, and then we looked at things where our major crimes unit said that these would be ideal locations to have a camera. Yes.
Yeah, so the grant will cover the initial, but what about ongoing funding?
So ongoing funding is going to come out of our regular general fund budget. Chief has worked with the mayor's administration to find where we can pull that money from for future years.
And could you share, you don't have to do it now, but when you get a chance, could you share with me kind of the budget line item that would apply to that, so I can understand that?
Yeah.
And then I guess my second question is, out of the box, will this be formally connected to the Real-Time Crime Center?
So it can be, right? Like the tech all works natively with the Real-Time Crime Center. I would like to do a formal data sharing agreement before we do that, but that's really the only thing that we would need to identify and iron out.
But we expect that will happen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. So we have 34 candidate intersections. With the funding we have and the 28 cameras, would that cover about 14 intersections?
It really depends. Some of the intersections, we don't really need both directions of travel. So some of the intersections, we may just put one camera. Like our bridges, for example, right? If we put one on Monroe Street Bridge, we really only need one camera there. So we'll try to get as many intersections as we can. I really don't know what we'll end up with.
I would just comment that's cool to hear about the traffic counts. I think we're on council always looking for more data, especially when it comes to those Safe Street initiatives. And so I think there's a lot of support for more traffic counts and more data sharing that help us address those traffic concerns that we have in our community. So a lot of support for that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
And thank you. All right, next we have got to go back. Police seizure and forfeiture report. Is that just in the packet? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Then the Waspic BHU grant application with Assistant Chief Singley.
Good afternoon. This is just to advise you about a grant application. The chief referenced it in his comments earlier. Currently, we're in a regional BHU with County and Frontier. County has elected to make their own grant application this next cycle, and we're going to do the same. It is a 2-year grant cycle that begins in July 1st, and SPD will be applying for 5 officers, 1 sergeant, and a mental health coordinator. And then we will be putting out an RFP for the service provider portion.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
update. The last discussion item, then we'll go to our standing reports and committees, is a resolution supporting the immigrant and refugee communities. This is simply a resolution that we've been hearing from community stakeholders that have been coming in requesting from council to support the Keep Washington Working law, and so this would be a resolution supporting that. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak to that. All right, then we'll move on to our standing reports and committees. Yeah.
We had a brief update on that last week. Is there any changes that are proposed or considered in the resolution?
There's language now. There was nothing proposed before in the language, but the idea is the same.
But no changes. I have a draft from 3 or 4 weeks ago, and so has anything changed from that draft? Because nothing's been released. I did get an email from Paul, but I don't know what's current. So
The current is in the packet. I don't think there's any significant changes, but I would check the actual proposed resolution.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering which version's out there.
I would use the one in the packet.
Okay.
So the one in the packet, the other one was drafted from community members, but not proposed by any council members. So the version in the packet is the one that is being proposed by council members.
Could we just get a brief update of what it would do? We know it's supporting the Keep Washington Working Act, but can we get more?
That's really kind of the extent of what it would do. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that. Jackson, do you have anything you want to add to that since you and Andres worked on it?
No, that's basically the extent of it, is that it reaffirms the Keep Washington Working Act and city staff abiding by it.
Yeah, and then we also made some changes on the language to make it a little less specific, to include a lot of the organizations, and also changing the language of funds that we would encourage or help, but the city unfortunately would not be able to have any funding for any legal representation.
But for the public too, I definitely encourage you to look at the ones in packets, because those are the ones that are formally being proposed by council, not things that are just being circulated by email if people from the public see it.
And those get updated, so sometimes there is a different version than the packet.
All right, then standing reports. The Police Advisory Committee did meet, and we heard a lot about updates from the pilot program downtown from the chiefs that we've all heard already at council, but that was kind of the major extent from that meeting. Cops update?
Yeah, just further, just kind of conversation on their application for the RFP and kind of what the plan would be depending on the outcome of that. Really was the bulk of the conversation at the last board meeting.
And then Policy Advisor update?
Sure, thank you. Just a few things to share. First, that in the month of January, I probably coordinated about 9 legal opinions and analysis, maybe 10 if you count today. That continues to be a significant part of my job, is making sure that we ask good questions of legal, that we understand the answers that we get back, that everybody's getting the same information about the legal analysis. And that includes, of course, questions around all of the homelessness ordinances, which are a pretty big lift right now. So a few amendments I worked on, certainly not near as many as December. The LAs are getting slowly the hang of how to draft an amendment and, make sure that it's clear for the clerks and for council exactly what, and for the public, exactly what is being proposed by way of an amendment. That process seems to be evolving well. And of course, as council members draft items that don't come from the administration and they're drafted by their LAs, Jacoby and I continue to be the ones to upload those documents into OnBase. That's part of what I do. I have administered one additional LA2 test. I wrote and administered the test for Shea Blackwell last fall, and we did another one earlier in January, and I expect more to come. So it's kind of a fun little gig to write a test. And I think they enjoy it and they find it helpful, to take the test. The last item that I alerted council members to was a nice little field trip to the Washington State Archives last week. And Ms. Pfister and Stephen Williams and Melanie Coe and I all drove out there. I don't know if you've been out there. It's kind of an interesting tour. It's part of the Eastern Washington University campus. Nice building, one of 5 archive centers throughout the state, and they are part of the state archivists and the Washington Secretary of State. They have loads of government records there. They collect records from all levels of government, state, county, and municipal. A good source for research if we need to find some ancient stuff, and they do have some ancient stuff. Vital records, property records, you name it. This was actually prompted because
Arrest records.
What's that?
Arrest records.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. But they do have an online site. They have a nice little brochure that, you can take advantage of their services online. I think most people nowadays send requests online to the archivist and they do the digging, but you certainly can go out there and have them pull things for you. I think Kate Fairbarn and I would love to spend like a week out there looking at some of this old stuff. But it's a great resource, and this was actually, in my case, prompted by some research about our charter and what the meaning of some of our amendments to our charter were back in the 60s. Anyway, that's what is going on in my world. I continue to work on parliamentary training. I expect another exam in April, so I'll be studying for that as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Chris? All right, the next bulk is consent agenda items, but we don't have those briefs, so we'll go on to public testimony. And thank you all for waiting with us. Just a reminder, you have 2 minutes for testimony here, and this is to really pertain to items related to public safety or on the agenda. The first speaker is going to be Tyler Tamush, then Tia Mawa. If I pronounce that wrong, please correct me, and then Robin Haynes.
How's it going, Council? Tyler Tamush, District 1, Chair of the CAA Safety Committee. So, ditto to everything DSP brought forward. I think it's pretty awesome, the work that they're doing. It's awesome that they're using Reclaim Project for that as well. I will say that I think a number of what they're finding, while it might not be on as large of a scale as what they're finding downtown, because we know downtown has its issues, the neighborhoods, at least some of them, are definitely struggling with that as well. So I can tell you one thing from when we do cleanups in our neighborhood, we're finding the same things. We're finding alcohol, we're finding drug paraphernalia, we're finding all that stuff, and especially toward the north-south corridor. So I talked to Paul back there from DSP, and he had mentioned that there was an incident where a guy was wearing a glove, he got pricked with a needle, but they are obviously insured. So we have insurance through the Spokane Parks Foundation. Those that were insured at the parks. So what happens if we're doing a cleanup along the north-south corridor or anywhere else? Let's say we have a lot of children that volunteer and pick up trash as well. So what happens when that goes down? Let's say someone gets hurt, or if they trip on one of the unpaved roads that we have. What happens there? Do they sue the council, like the neighborhood council? Like who gets in trouble for that? So very curious as to how that works. And then also putting the Tyler hat on, not the CA Safety Committee hat on. Speed cameras, I think it's cool that we're looking into them. But speed cameras, one, cannot smell alcohol. They cannot see illicit drugs in the vehicle. They cannot spot a firearm. They cannot do any of those things. So while speed cameras are great, traffic enforcement is also a necessity as well, and I think we should be looking into that because that's important. So definitely can't spot a DUI on a camera, just speeding and running a red light. So appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Just a point of personal privilege on that. Tyler ran a great event, last week on highlighting some issues. I want to thank Chief Hall for being there and sharing his thoughts on from an SPD perspective.
Great, thank you. Tia is next. And just so everyone knows, there are 9 speakers.
Hello, council members. My name is Tia Mua, and I'm the political organizer for Asians for Collective Action. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to address a crucial matter for the future of our community, the importance of passing the Keep Washington Working Act resolution and ensuring that our immigrant and refugee neighbors remain protected. This act, as you know, was passed to safeguard our most vulnerable populations, preventing local law enforcement from being used as a tool for federal immigration enforcement. Spokane has become home to countless immigrant and refugee families who contribute to the vibrancy of our community, including my family as well. They run businesses, work in our schools, care for our elderly, and fill essential roles that keep our city moving forward. They are not other, they are us. Committing to the Keep Washington Working Act helps foster a climate of safety, trust, and opportunity for all residents, regardless of their immigration status. When local governments uphold this law, we send the message that Spokane is a city where everyone is welcome, valued, and protected. Without it, we risk creating fear and division, driving families into the shadows, and discouraging them from seeking health care, reporting crimes, or accessing vital resources. This not only harms individuals, but weakens the very fabric of our community. Often our society forgets that Asian communities are also impacted by immigration legislation, with 1 in 7 Asian immigrants being undocumented here in the U.S. Our Asian community here in Spokane deserves to feel safe and be able to access vital resources without fear. I urge you as leaders of Spokane to continue supporting the Keep Washington Working Act resolution and stand firm in protecting our immigrant and refugee neighbors. Let's show that Spokane is a city that prioritizes justice, dignity, and the well-being of all those who call Spokane home. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to making Spokane a place where everyone, regardless of their immigration status, can thrive and feel welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Robin. I believe Robin's online, and then we'll have John Alder and Pat Castaneda. Hold on, Robin, just a second. You are muted.
One second, sorry.
Still muted. We'll let you know, hopefully, when that's good to go. You actually want us to come back?
I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know why it's not working.
All right. We're going to figure out the tech issue and be right back to you. And, so probably in about 2 minutes. All right, so we'll go to John next.
John Older, member of the City Equity Subcommittee, also a former member of SCIA Local 6, which represents a lot of janitors in this community. And quite a few of them were immigrants, including Marshallese, Russians, Ukrainians, and especially a Haitian couple who used to give me a ride home from work every day. We also, the member of Spokane Alliance, shortly after Trump made his stupid comments about the Haitians, we managed to put together a piece of paper showing 49 organizations to say everything Trump was totally wrong about them. The one thing I have found working with immigrants or even non-immigrants, they have one thing in common. They're all good, hardworking people who are trying to make life better for their family. And one thing, if anything, the immigrants do need is maybe some language services to help them interpret what it is they're looking for when they apply for services. The last thing they need is a visit from ICE.
Thank you. Are we ready, Jackson, or one more in person? Okay, we'll do another one in person. That's Pat Castaneda and then Finley Picula. And Jackson, can you restart the timer?
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Castaneda. I am the Executive Director of Manzanita House. Manzanita House is a nonprofit dedicated to welcome and equip immigrants with tools, resources, and community to flourish in the inland Northwest. We provide immigration legal services, community power building, resource navigation, and training. On behalf of Manzanita House, I would like to express my strong support for the proposed resolution committing to the enforcement of the Keep Washington Working Act of 2019 in supporting legal and immigration defense services in Spokane. We believe that this resolution aligns with Spokane values of belonging, inclusivity, equity, and justice, and represents a crucial step in ensuring that all residents, regardless of their immigrant status, feel safe and supported in our community. By reaffirming the principles of the Keep Washington Working Act, the City of Spokane demonstrates a commitment to protecting immigrants and refugee rights, fostering trust and law enforcement, and upholding community safety. Moreover, expanding access to legal and immigration defense service will provide critical resource to families at risk of separation and help preserve the rich diversity that strengthens Spokane's cultural and economic fabric. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. All right, Robin, we haven't forgotten about you, but we're still working on it. We'll go up next to Finley and then Jackie Garcia after that. And no Finley. All right, we'll go to Jackie Garcia next. After that, we'll have Derek Azaro and then Will Hewlings.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Garcia, and I work at Mia Mujeres in Action. We're a nonprofit that's dedicated to advocating for survivors of domestic and/or sexual violence. Our mission is to help survivors reach their full potential while educating our community from Latin perspective to eliminate family violence. I'm here today to ask for your support in enforcing the Keep Washington Working Act in Spokane. Through my role as a community policy liaison, I address the systemic barriers that affect all survivors of violence, recognizing that they have intersecting identities. Domestic violence and sexual assault do not discriminate. One significant barrier that often goes unaddressed is how immigration status intersects with DV and SA. Immigrants frequently flee their countries in search of safety and support to leave abusive relationships. While immigration relief, like VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, and U visas exist to provide protection, the application and waiting periods for these programs are often too long for survivors to endure while escaping violence. This is why the Keep Washington Working Act is critical. It was created to enhance public safety, promote fairness to immigrants, and protect the privacy and civil rights of all Washington residents. The official city motto is, "In Spokane, we all belong." If Spokane truly wants to live up to this statement of supporting immigrants must be a part of that all. Survivors of violence are already intimidated and afraid to seek help. Adding immigration status as a barrier only makes things worse, and it creates additional fear and makes it harder for survivors to access safety and services. Spokane has the highest rates of domestic violence in Washington state. Without meaningful support, this rate will only increase, especially among immigrant communities who are already afraid to speak out. I hope you'll consider this information to ensure that everyone in Spokane, including immigrants and survivors, can feel safe, supported, and included. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Derek, and then Will.
Derek Lazaro, formerly of Logan District. I'd like to talk on three things: deadly force count, alcohol, your ordinance downtown, and also what happened last week at the meeting. Quickly, deadly force, it's up since it's up. Basically, the highest would be in 2017. Now it's gone back up again. I would say probably short staffing is probably a big problem with hiring. Going on to the alcohol, I suggest that one of our council members put forth an ordinance that all police officers be able to carry a disposable breathalyzer. These can be bought for like $299 for like $100. There's evidently when you get a DUI, you can't refuse it. But when you're asked on the street, you can refuse it. I'd like to see an ordinance put forth, added on to your new alcohol deal, that they be allowed to demand a breathalyzer and help in court later on. And now going on to the episode that happened in the last council meeting, I'd like to highly oppose the fact the way the council president handled that situation. She was ordering members of the public to shut the door repeatedly. This episode happened 54 minutes into the meeting. That person was walking around the building, and your security team was trying to take care of it the best they could. It was a long wait time on the services with nobody showing up until later. I don't see officers here anymore at the meetings. I'd like to have the mayor, demand the mayor to bring back 2 officers per 2 of the meetings to keep the public safe while we talk. What happened last week was inexcusable. Like I said, the wait time was a long time. They had been calling and didn't come. I'm not going to blame the PD. It's just a lot of things going on, short staffing, like I said. But I really feel that officers should have the breathalyzers in their pockets when they're doing the downtown program. Also, reel in the landlords down there. Over 90% of the people down there rent from the landlords. I think we should make them be registered as they were asked to. Letters sent to landlords to do it. The problem is we can't evict people because of the new council members' order that these people can't be evicted.
Thank you. Will?
Good afternoon. My name is Will Hewlings, and I live downtown Spokane, specifically the Rid Path. So I have some problems. Normally, I don't get up here and I criticize law enforcement, but I'm going to criticize them today because they got a new mission statement. The Spokane Police Department is committed to providing excellence in policing, enhancing the safety and security of individuals. I'm an individual. I live downtown. I'm actually someone that comes here and speaks for years, and I don't seem to, they give 2 shits about what I feel, okay, because I talk about it all the time. So our vision is to serve every member of our community with professionalism, integrity, and compassion. That's not happening. I called the precinct captain downtown and left a message with him, and I know I'm not some special guy, but I do live downtown a few blocks away, and I left a nice detailed message with my name. I haven't got a call back. And I talked to him tonight. I guess I had to change of command. It's always excuses. As a veteran, as someone that served, I just find this leadership very lacking. I don't care. I don't understand it. And like I said, I'm a Trump supporter. I love our law enforcement. But it's pitiful what's happening downtown at the Rid Path. You could probably go over there right now and see drug addicts and homeless people everywhere. It's sick. Let that happen in Lisa Brown's neighborhood.
All right, thank you, Will. And do we have audio finally with Robin? I think we could hear you, Robin.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for waiting through those technical difficulties, but we can hear you.
No, that's all right. My name is Robin Haynes. I'm the executive director at SIMBA, which is the Spokane Independent Metro Business Alliance, which is certainly why I use SIMBA because it's much shorter. And we also serve 11 Eastern Washington counties, but we are started in Spokane and our focus is Spokane. I wanted to bring a slightly different perspective than some of the other organizations who have asked this council to support the resolution regarding Keep Washington Working, which SIMBA happily signed onto. We focus on independent and local businesses, and our real focus is micro businesses and entrepreneurs. And a large majority of those businesses, particularly in Spokane County, but throughout Eastern Washington, are members of our immigrant community. For a variety of reasons, immigrants, primarily for language barriers, are unable to enter the workforce otherwise. And the large portion of immigrants we serve are folks here as refugees or asylees, particularly from the Middle East. Those folks have language and cultural barriers that keep them from working, but they are able to open businesses. And as business owners, and Simba helped open over 79 businesses in Spokane County last year, and about 20% of those were immigrant businesses. They're paying taxes, they're paying state and local taxes and B&O taxes, supporting our communities. And they are afraid. They are afraid to contact law enforcement. And I've had some great conversations with our chief. I don't know if he's still in the room at this moment about that. But it's not just folks at their day jobs, it's people afraid to open the doors of their business, to hire other employees, to earn a living and take the steps to get what they need in our community. So it's not only just our workforce, folks in our schools, folks in our churches, but it's also our local business owners and the folks trying to make our community better and paying in to support this community that are going to be impacted by broad actions by ICE. So on behalf of our organization and the businesses we serve, we request the council support the Keep Washington Working Act. Thank you so much for your time and helping me with the technology piece that wasn't working for me today.
Thank you very much for bearing with us. And that concludes our February 2nd, February 3rd Public Safety Committee meeting. Thanks. Have a great day.